Hey guys, it's me, CUBEX. I'm not as young as I used to be. I know it's a weird thing to say because obviously I'm still young and in all aspects of my life, I feel young. But when it comes to cubing, my fingers just aren't as nimble as they used to be in my early 20s and when I was a teenager. And coming back to cubing now after quitting for, a couple years, I find that my style of spamming TPS just isn't really working for me anymore because I just can't turn as quickly as I used to. So one thing that I've been working on is essentially working on my efficiency, especially in F2L. And that's why I've been doing stuff like solving with only root because I want to do some block building exercises. I'm also now color neutral because I want to do solves that require less moves in cross because I figure my cross solutions are generally not that great. And I've also been working on other things such as cross to F2L transition, and I've documented all of that in videos I've made in the past. But for me, it feels like that's not enough, and I think I could probably practice more efficiently, which is why I actually hired Brody, aka BrodytheCuber, to give me some tips on how to improve. Now, what I'm hoping for is for Brody to actually give me tips on how to practice specific things rather than telling me what I need to practice, because to me it's pretty clear that my F2L solutions are not that great, so I need to figure out better solutions for different cases. I probably need to find more efficient cross solutions. I've been doing a lot of things that are speed optimal for me, but I realize that a lot of those solutions are not move optimal, and so there are a lot of things I can work on there. I know some of my last layer algs are not that great, so those are just going to require a lot of repetition. And in general, I think my look ahead is not horrible, except for cross F2L transition, which I've worked on a lot and is a lot better now. So I actually filmed an average of 12 and then sent it to Brody a couple weeks ago. And actually since that time, I've gotten a little bit faster. So I think the average I sent him was a sub 12 average of 12. And then I think there was like a sub 11 average of 5 in there. I'm actually pretty comfortably sub 11 average of 12 now. So I've actually cut down a little more than half a second. And even if I try to do color neutral solves, I'm typically low 12s to mid 12s. So I'm definitely faster now than I used to be. That being said, Brody was aware that I had gotten faster since I submitted that average, but I told him to just make the video with that average anyway because there might be other things that he points out that I haven't noticed before. So without further ado, let's watch Brody's video, see how he critiques me. I hope he's gentle, and we'll go from there.
CUBEX, you want to redesign your 3x3 style. You want to be able to turn more slowly and still get faster times. Luckily, you came to the right person. I think I'll be able to help you out.
Nice.
So a little while ago, CUBEX came to me asking for help on 3x3. In his own words, he says, "I physically can't maintain the TPS I used to, and I'm thinking of transitioning to a more slow but efficient solve style, especially for F2L. So in order to help him with this, we're going to be making a series of videos back and forth. First, I'll make a video analyzing his solves, seeing what I can do to help him out in that journey, and then he'll make a response where he goes over his practicing process, his improvements, and any questions he has about what to do along the way."
So I think in this video, I'm just going to react to Brody's reactions. I will be uploading separate videos going over my improvement and stuff like that with regards to his comments. But I think if I just include everything in one video, it's going to be too much. So just a heads up that it'll probably be separated into multiple videos on my end.
By the end of the series, CUBEX will have completely revolutionized his solving style. Before we get into my advice, I need to make a little bit of a shameless plug. I do sell...
That's really stupid, dude. But like in the best way, obviously.
3x3 one-on-one sessions and solve critiques through the TheCubicle Academy. I don't do them in the way that I'm doing this with CUBEX. That's sort of a special thing just for him. But if you want really helpful advice on how to get faster, you can go to the link in the description and that will give you all the information you need on how to sign up. Okay, first.
Yeah, so one thing I forgot to mention is that I actually did visit this website to get training sessions with Brody. So I did pay him. The thing that's different between what I'm doing with him compared to what you might get from him is obviously we're doing this back and forth video series. But just to be clear, I didn't just ask him for free advice. I did actually pay him, and depending on how this video goes, I'll give my recommendation. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, first, let's answer the big question. Can you get faster while turning slower?
So this I know for sure the answer is yes. And I know this because my F2L solutions are not that efficient. So I know if my move count decreases, I'm going to get faster. So I'm sure that's what he's going to say.
And the answer is yes, but you need to make each turn do more for you.
Yep,
Let's use
exactly.
CUBEX as an example. In CUBEX's
Oh, boy.
case, most of his solves are 65 to 70 moves.
Oh, that's crazy. I actually didn't realize that. I thought my move count was much lower than that. But you know, the last time I did a move count check was in like 2013 or 2014. And maybe I was just better at cubing. But I think back then, I might have just been more efficient with my F2L pairing. I might have honestly just forgotten some cases and not even realize it. Because that's crazy to me. Because I used to think that my move count was not horrific. Like I thought I was around 60 or like high 50s. But yeah, that's really, really high. So if I can cut that down by like 10 or 20 moves, I'm going to save about a second. Yeah, that's wild.
Over 11 seconds, which means that his solves are about 6 turns per second. But keep in mind, that's 6 turns per second on average, factoring in his pauses.
And when I submitted this average, this was before I figured out how to do cross F2L transitions. So actually, sorry, I just realized that I did Brody pretty dirty here. But when I submitted that average to Brody, I actually didn't know how to do cross F2L transition yet. So that's honestly like a second pause anyway. So what you're going to watch here, and I think what he's going to critique is stuff that I've actually already worked on since then. But anyway, just keep that in mind.
He's clearly capable of turning much faster than that in short bursts. So if we can make him go from high speed in short bursts to 6 TPS all the time, he'll actually be turning slower. And if we can change those 65 to 70 moves to closer to 60 moves on average, now we're getting into sub 10 territory.
Yep.
So CUBEX, we will get you to sub 10 territory here, I promise. And we're going to do it in 3 steps. Step 1.
Okay, I low-key thought he was going to say in 3 days. Anyway.
We're going to decrease your average move count to around 60 by improving your efficiency, mostly during F2L.
Sounds good.
Step 2, we're going to teach you the finger tricks you'll need to handle everything you'll have to do to reach that level of efficiency. But don't worry, you'll be turning slower, remember? So the extra finger tricks shouldn't be that difficult to implement. And step 3, we're going to give you the look ahead you need to not pause, which allows you to save time even though you're turning slower. In this video, I'm just going to be focusing on step 1, because you're going to have plenty to work on just when it comes to efficiency. We'll get to finger tricks and look ahead in the future. Based on the solves you sent me, there are 2 main things you need to do to increase your efficiency. You need to stop doing bad F2L pairs, and you need to make the pairs that you are doing more efficient in the way you solve them.
So that's kind of interesting, and I'm sure he's going to go into more detail, but for sure, I don't have very good efficiency when it comes to difficult pairs. I kind of do it the beginner way. So when I have 2 things that are connected, such as here, I tend to just separate them and then repair them instead of doing something like RU R prime. So a lot of these cases, it's interesting because it's not that I don't know the solution. It's just that I haven't done them enough for them to actually make a difference in my times, which I know is a stupid excuse because that's sort of the whole point, is that I should be practicing that. But to me, in my mind, it's always been such a minor thing in my solves, because even if this happens, 3 times in a solve, if my look ahead is good and I can recognize the case fast enough, I can kind of get away with spamming TPS. But again, the whole point is I don't want to do that anymore, and I want to actually be more efficient. So yeah, this totally makes sense. The other thing he said about doing bad F2L pairs, this has to do a little bit more with look ahead. So during F2L, I tend to track corner pieces first when I'm doing recognition for F2L. And in a case like this, for example, I would probably see this green, orange, white corner first, which is why I would do this case. When I do walkthrough solves, for example, this would never happen. I would never do this orange and green pair because this is obviously so much better. But I think when I'm solving in real time and making split-second decisions, it sometimes is difficult for me to pick the right pair. But, like he said, now that I'm turning slower, I should be able to look ahead more efficiently and actually find the pairs that I need to do. So yeah, let's go on.
For an example of an F2L pair you did that you shouldn't have, look no further than the first pair of your first solve in this average. Despite there being two very good options in red and green or blue and orange, you locked onto the much more difficult orange and green pair and solved that first instead. By doing that instead of either of the other options, you did 1 extra cube rotation and 3 or 4 extra moves respectively.
Actually, even doing what I did, doing the green and orange pair first, I could have done the red and green pair without a cube rotation. But instead I ended up doing 2 cube rotations and and a lot of moves.
This is what I like to call F2L tunnel vision. And usually it's caused by a need to always be doing something in order to make yourself think that you're not pausing. In order to...
well, okay. So, not to be defensive about this at all, because maybe there's some truth to it. But as I said before, I don't think for me the tunnel vision is spamming TPS at all times. I'm okay with pausing if it means that I can do like a multi-slotting case or something else like that. I think for me, the tunnel vision comes in when I just see a single pair and all I care about at that time is solving that pair. So I definitely have tunnel vision, but I don't think it's caused by wanting to always be turning the cube. Because if you watch my solves, I do pause quite a lot. I don't just, aimlessly turn. But
to achieve that, you'll lock onto the first thing you see and have to solve it, no matter how bad of a case it is.
So I think I know what he's saying now about always constantly wanting to turn. It's not that if I'm looking for pieces, I just do R prime all the time. It's more that because I don't want to pause forever, I'm going to just do the first pair that I see. I think that's what he was trying to say. And yeah, I totally agree with that. I definitely have that problem.
Look ahead to get rid of the pauses. By making an active effort to be more deliberate about which pairs you choose and solve during your F2L, I'm sure you can cut a lot of moves and cube rotations off of your solves. But we still need to go over which cases you should be doing, but you're doing inefficiently. And you know what that means. Montage time!
So I actually do know that F2L case, and I know how to do it lefty. Like I know the alg for it. The reason I don't is because my lefty algs for F2L are not that good because of the way that I hold the cube. Basically, when I hold the cube, I don't hold it symmetrically like a lot of people. I tend to hold it with just my left hand, and I tend to do everything 2-gen. And because of that, to switch over to doing the alg with my left hand requires a slight regrip, and that is often very uncomfortable. So it's sort of a stylistic thing. And for sure, it's something I can work on. So again, I'm not giving excuses. I'm just saying that that's sort of where I'm coming from. I think I got confused. That would be better. Yes. Yeah, it's another one of those. It's one of those things that I know that I just don't do. But I should start doing that. Let's watch that again. It's good. I just never do F moves for F2L unless it's for like partial edge control in the last slot. I just almost never do F moves, and I know that it's more efficient, but I just don't have the finger tricks for it. But again, going back to the first things that Brody said in this video, that's one of the things I need to work on is better finger tricks. And so I think I need to work on these cases for sure, but it's going to be hard to do them without also practicing finger tricks at the same time anyway, so maybe I can kill two birds with one stone here. Is he just going to do an RU R prime kind of thing? Yeah. Yeah, so again, it's one of those things where I know the solution, I just don't practice it, so I need to do that. Similar thing here. You can break it up using some version of RU R prime. Yeah, there you go.
Let's take a look at how much of a difference efficiency can make. Your worst solve in this average was a 1453 with a +2, but even ignoring the +2, it was your worst solve for a reason. Every F2L pair in this solve was either a pair you should not have chosen, or it was a pair you solved inefficiently. You also cube rotated 6 times just for F2L. The difference between that and your best solve was like night and day. Your best solve still wasn't perfect. There was a little bit of decision making that I didn't agree with when it came to your first pair, but other than that, you did everything correctly. Your F2L won't always be as easy as it was on that solve, but by making better decisions about which pairs you choose not to do and which ones you choose to do, you can make it easier every time. So I think I've given you a lot to work on here. First, make more of an effort to choose good pairs to do even if you have to pause, instead of locking onto bad ones that you solve first. And then, when you do choose pairs to do, try to be more efficient with them like I've shown in this video. I'm sure I missed some cases that you need help with, but if there are any cases you can think of, feel free to mention them in your next video and I'll be happy to help you out with them. As always, if you or anyone else watching has any questions, feel free to let me know so I can make corrections and clarifications as they come up. So CUBEX, I wish you the best of luck with your efficiency practice. I can't wait to see your response.
Man, he was so gentle. I thought he was going to be way more brutal than he was. Yeah, I think a lot of the things are very easy to work on because it's not a lack of cubing knowledge. Like when we went through the montage of the cases, I know the solutions. It's just stuff that I haven't built into muscle memory. And so I think the next step for me after watching this video is really to do slower solves, even untimed one, just walk through solves mentally for myself and finding the easiest pairs to do and then doing them efficiently. And I think if I do that for about a week, it's going to really help. If you've watched my sort of latest videos, you'll already know that I'm starting to turn slower and slower and more efficiently. And that's basically in the same vein as what Brody is saying here. It's all sort of the same thing, but now he's given me some very specific things to work on, which is perfect. So huge thanks to Brody for making this video and helping me get faster. I'm pretty excited to finally get into sub 10 territory after over a decade of cubing. We'll see how the series goes and if I can truly get to sub 10 by the end of it. If you are interested in getting coaching from Brody, I'll leave some links in the description. I highly recommend it, even though I haven't gotten any improvement from him yet, because I literally just watched the video. He's just an upstanding guy and his videos are fantastic. So at the very least, if you're not subscribed to him, please check him out, subscribe, show him some love. And until next time, toodles.